Hi everyone, this is Naomi and Jose, and we wanted to start a video series of our debt-free journey. We are officially debt-free, and we've been debt-free for about 2 years. Um, the only thing that we owe on right now is the house, and we have followed Dave Ramsey's baby steps. So if you want to learn more about our journey, then here's a video. Okay. Okay, so I grew up in Mexico. I was born in Mexico. My mom was a single mom. Um, she was a teenager mom, and she had me when she was 14 years old. And she got married when I was 4 years old. And all throughout my childhood, I remember us always struggling with money, always, because she was a minor and we were in Mexico. There wasn't a lot of opportunities out there for us to thrive. And I remember an occasion where I was about 3 years old, and this moment in life marked my life. I still remember it till this day. I remember me and my mom walking out of church, and the youth were having a sale. They were selling popcorn, and it was like baggies of popcorn, and there were 5 pesos. Pesos is it translates to about like 50 cents right now. And I remember me telling my mom, "Hey mom, can I get popcorn?" And she was like, "No, no, right now we don't have money." And I was just 3 years old, so I threw a fit. I threw myself on the floor, and I said, "But I want popcorn." And I remember just crying and crying on the floor and just being like, "I want popcorn, I want popcorn." And I remember my mom sat down there was these stairs right there, and then she sat down and she started crying. And she told me, "I'm sorry." She got me and she told me, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I can't buy you popcorn today. I'm so sorry. We just don't have money." And I remember seeing her cry, and I felt so bad because she was crying and she was just crying her eyes out. And a sister came and she told my mom, "Hey, don't worry about it. I can buy her popcorn. What's wrong?" And my mom told her, and I remember telling my mom, "No, I don't want popcorn no more. I don't want popcorn no more. Just stop crying. Just don't cry." And I feel like that moment really marked my life because after that, I would never ask. I didn't want to ask for anything. When we go to the store, my mom would say like, "Oh, get something, and I'd be like, "Oh, like how much is it? Like, how much is it? Can we afford it? Do you have money?" And it happened like that. So through all my childhood, I remember just struggling financially. My mom and my dad, I remember they would when my mom got married, they together they would sit down after after they would get their money, and they would stack it up in little piles, and they'll be like, "Okay, this is for the rent, this is for this is for food, this is for that, this is for that." I remember doing that, and we had some stability after that, but I feel like we were poor, but I didn't really feel it because we always had God with us, and everything that I needed, I had. I know that for sure. Everything that I needed, I had. How about you? History with money.
History of money. Well, my mom migrated from Mexico to the United States, and she had me here. Um, I was, fortunate that I was able to be born here in the USA, and so we grew up low income. Low income. My mom was a single mother, and for the most part, and so grew up low income, live government assistance, food stamps, Medi-Cal, and I remember being really young as a kid, maybe like around 5 years old or whatever. I remember my mom doing like little side hustles, just to try to get an extra income because she would only work seasonal, a couple months uh, during the summer and spring and stuff, but just during the year and stuff. So she would do like side hustles, like Avon, and just like things like that. She can go to door and knock and stuff. And I remember we used to in the evenings. I used to get on my little tricycle and we would go around the block. And my mom would put her stuff in my little tricycle, and we would just go around the block knocking on doors and stuff. And you know, I remember doing that, and seeing my mom like always the way she would try to budget or have everything aside for like whatever bills, and um, just like I knew like we were always just like really tight, and everything was like, oh, you had to like double check to see if you can even. And I always looked up to um the people that she would work for. Looked at the farmers, or like the people that were in charge, and how they would roll up in their trucks, and like they would come and guide the people to the work and everything. So I always said like, man, like I would like to be in that position one day, to be able to um, be like that, where I'm not necessarily an employee, but more like an owner. This is what I understood. So I always kind of looked up to those type of people and stuff, and I always wonder like, oh, how did they do it? How did they get there? But
So when did you get your first job, like official job?
yeah. So then when I got my first job when I was 16, I remember waiting like for my birthday, because I wanted to get my own job and work for myself, and be able to buy my own stuff. But yeah, I was 16, and I worked at a car wash.
Okay, so I got my first job when I was 14, and I started cleaning. My mom worked cleaning homes throughout my whole childhood, so that's what I learned to do. And when I was 14, I got my first home, and I started cleaning that. And I used to get about $50 for 3.5 hours one day every other week. So about $100 a month. That was my first official job. And then when I was again 14, I got another job. I got a job at a laundromat. And back in those days, the minimum was $6.75, and I used to get $675, and I used to $675 an hour, and I would get paid once a month from there. So I had a house that I would clean on the weekends, one day of every other weekend, and then the laundromat that I would clean after school, and that was only 3 days out of the week. So altogether, it was about $500 a month. That's how much I used to make, like $500 a month. And I became very, I wasn't careful with the money that I got. No one told me to save. I didn't save any money. I didn't have any bills that were my own. Like, my mom never made me pay her. I would never even give her for gas or anything. She would tell me, don't give me money for gas. Don't give me money for gas. Just keep it. Just keep it. So I became very just careless in that money that I was winning, because now thinking back, I wish I would have put some money aside, but I was just young, and I never got any instructions on how to manage it. So I just splurged. So how about you?
Yeah, same here. I was working part time at this car wash, and I would work after school, and then on the weekends I would go. And on weekends I got to work all day, and then um, I ended up going full time, and I switched over to independent studies, and I was pretty much like homeschooled. And then I ended up working full time in the car wash, and then I think I was getting paid around 6.75 or something like that. And I just, yeah, I mean, no one taught me anything about saving or like investing or anything like that. So when I just, for the first time, like I was able to kind of get like not just have one pair of shoes, but have a new pair of shoes maybe every other month or whatever, and just be able to buy my own clothes. I remember I used to get a haircut every 2 weeks, because now I was able to. It wasn't once a month no more, or whenever we can afford it. It was, I was able to treat myself to things like that, and um, help my mom out. I mean, I didn't know about all the bills, so I would just give her like, whatever amount, and then I would just keep the rest, and never really thought about saving or what should I do with it or invest it. It was just kind of like, spend it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now when we got married, I didn't have a job anymore, and I was 17. You were 18. I was still in high school, and I didn't have a job, and Jose, you had a part-time.
Yeah, it was part time, and then I was going to college by that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, by that time I was going to college full time, and then I had a part time job. Yeah.
Yeah, and after we got married, we discovered credit cards.
Yeah, like we got married, and then I ended up getting a full time job position or whatever. But then I remember like, oh, like, well, we need to build up our credit, or
Yeah, someone told us like you need to build up your credit.
Or every time you would go and go buy clothes or whatever, they'll be like, hey, do you want to apply for a credit card? Get 50% off or whatever deal they had or whatever. So I remember always trying to apply for them, but I never really like got approved for any until one day we did get approved for whatever reason. Yeah. Or maybe after so many tries.
We got approved. I remember we got approved at JCPenney. No, I think it was like $400. $400.
Yeah, I don't know, but it felt like $1 million.
We got approved for $400, and we went and we got you glasses. We got you glasses, and then we bought some clothes.
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah, so I remember I like to splurge. I
felt so good spending someone else's money.
Yeah, I remember when you get paid, you would rather have cash on hand than pay the bills.
Yeah, like that was after we got our first credit card, and then and then we not only got that one, but then we got someone, like a Best Buy, and we ended up getting more credit cards, and we were finding ourselves with this debt that we didn't really pay attention to, but each month we would have our like monthly payments or minimum payments or whatever, and so instead of paying them off and being left with no money to spend, because I think it was like, I think it was part of like being secure, like I would like having the money in my pocket would make me feel secure, and I knew it wasn't gonna go without, and so I would choose to just pay minimum payments.
Mm-hmm.
So then, instead of paying it off and knowing that I was gonna be okay, I just didn't need to spend. I preferred, to give the minimum payment and have money to spend, and it just kind of flow it like that. And like my wife says, like.
Do you remember how many credit cards we had? We had a Costco, we had an Old Navy, we had a JCPenney, Children's Place. We had a Chase. Was it a Chase?
Yeah, Chase.
We had a Capital One.
I remember Capital One was our first major. What is it? No, it was like our first major credit card. Not necessarily a store credit card.
Like 7, and what else?
I can't remember.
Lowe's. We had Lowe's. We had Home Depot. What else? Okay, so that's 9. That's 9 right there. Well, after that, we got our house, and we started working. We were working. We had good jobs. We were foster parents, and sometimes we would have a lot of kids, and sometimes we would have a little bit. But I remember being like, how about we take the kids to Disneyland, because they never been to Disneyland. And I remember just being like, oh, it's okay, like I'll pay it with my credit card, and then whenever I get paid, I'll just pay back. Or let's buy beds, because we need, like, the kids need beds, or let's buy clothes, or just anything that we needed. I'll just put it on the credit card. Just put it on the credit card. And then when the time will come to pay it off, when I will get paid, I would choose to not pay everything. I would choose to just give a little bit, not necessarily the minimum, but give maybe a little bit more than the minimum, but just keep cash on hand. I don't know, I think that was just like a really big mistake. And then after that, we needed a bigger car, because we only had we had 2 small cars, 5-passenger cars, and because of my job, we needed bigger cars. So we decided to go and buy a car. And I said, oh, we don't have to worry about this, because I can pay it off. We're winning good money, so we can pay it off. It's okay, we'll pay it off fast. And that did not happen. We went to the Nissan dealership.
Yeah, I remember.
And we got a 2015. It was a brand new car. It had 19 miles on it. 19, like 19. When we took it for the test drive, and we liked it. It was a 7-passenger.
Yeah, 7-passenger.
It was a 7-passenger, all leather.
It was a platinum edition.
Platinum edition.
So cool, heating and cooling seats, leather seats, and
everything.
Just had fully loaded.
It had cameras on the sides and on the back, on the front, and we were just happy, really happy.
Yeah, we went in, and they were like, "Oh, you qualify for a car with 0 down payment," and
and you get the first 3 months, you don't have to make a payment.
Remember? Yeah, and they were like, "Oh yeah," and then we're going into, it was like in October, so she was like, we can even get you through the holidays and everything, without having to make your first payment. So you'll start making your payment in like 2016.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, great, that's a great deal." So, here we go. We spent all day there at the dealership, and
and we got it. We got the car. Oh, and then they would ask us, "Oh, like, do you want insurance on this? Like, how about your keychain and stuff?" And we're like, "Yeah, let's get insurance."
Yeah. Or like all the lifetime oil changes.
Yeah, the lifetime oil changes with the car wash, with the free car washes every time.
I was like, sure, why not?
Yeah, let's do it. Like, I mean, we can afford it. We can afford the payments, huh?
Yeah, it's only $27 more a month.
Yeah,
I was
something
like,
like
oh,
that.
okay, 27.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we got ourselves into this brand new car. It was probably close to like financing and everything was like 55,000.
Yeah, and
Somewhere
then
around there.
I think we skipped this part, but you were going to school and you got student loans.
Oh yeah, I had mentioned earlier that I was going to school full time, and yeah, throughout that whole time I was going to a private college, so it was like a for-profit college, and of course there everything is like a lot faster, but you have to pay. Everything costs money, books and everything. So I mean financial aid didn't cover not even just a third of it, so the rest I had to get student loans. And
So when you graduated, how much did you owe?
yeah, when I graduated it was like around $18,000,
Mm-hmm.
like around there. That's how much I graduated with. And then I didn't really like quite understood what I was like kind of getting myself into. But I remember just graduating, and they were like, well, you have like grace period of like 6 months, and then once you get a full-time job that is part of your career or whatever, then you can start repaying, and then yeah, and then I remember getting that first bill statement or whatever, and then it was like 400 and something dollars a month, and I was like, man, I'm not even making like what I was supposed to be making,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, how much to make this payment? And I remember calling in and everything, and they were like, "Oh, we have this." Oh, I think for a while, I just kind of I did forbearance, and I just kept like, "Oh, forbearance for a while."
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, man, I was like, and then it kept going up each month. The the balance just kept going, and then after a year, I think I finally was like, well, I can't be continue to not pay. I need to figure something out. And so I called the server or whatever for the loans, and they were like, "Well, you know what? We can go ahead and set up a payment plan based on how much you're winning, based on your current income, and each year you'll just renew that." And then so I went ahead and did that, and then based off my income and stuff, because it was in high income, they were pretty much like, "Oh, well, look, it looks like you don't have to pay anything. You qualify for a zero payment. They're just gonna be charging you the interest,
Mm-hmm.
and but you don't have to pay that. They're just gonna go ahead and continue to kind of add that to the account, and because of your income, you don't have to do a payment. And so on this payment plan, after like 20 years or something being on this plan, that they will forgive your loan
Mm-hmm.
after being on this plan. So I ended up I kept renewing it and renewing. And I just kept qualifying,
Yeah.
and so by the time we reach the position to where we bought that car that we mentioned, we bought that brand new car. I had accumulated like close to maybe like 26, almost like around 28,000 dollars that
Yeah.
that my student loans went up because time had passed through all that, and they still gave me that new car. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
So 2018, we found ourselves just really struggling. We could afford to make the payments, but Jose came across Dave Ramsey. And I remember hearing about him in a marriage conference that we had in I remember hearing about it in a marriage conference we had in Merced.
yeah, we went to a local church, had a marriage
I remember
conference.
Brother Ernie Montoya talking
Yeah.
about it. And I just didn't really pay attention to that part. Like I was like, oh no, it's okay. We can't afford to make the payments. We're not like really in the hole. Like I just remember just being in denial. And what about you?
Well, I had before I went to that marriage conference, I had heard of Dave Ramsey in a radio, and I would go on my breaks and lunches, and I would sit in my car and then I would listen to his show, and then I scanning to the radio stations, I came across it, and I was like, it caught my attention, so I started listening to it, and it was just people calling in with like all kinds of debt and everything, people with student loans and everything like that. So I would just listen in, and I remember like sitting in my car, and I knew I had my student loan, and I had credit cards and stuff like that, but I remember sitting in the car, and like the people that would call in, they were like high earning people, like in 80, 90, 100,000, that's all the people that were calling in. And I was like, man, I'm not even half of that. So I was like, man, I'll never like be able to get out of debt, like, but that's how I kind of heard of them. And then I was like, wow.
Yeah, and I remember you started being very insistent, like, we need to get out of debt. We need to get out of debt. And we would have arguments about this. Like, I'll be like, no, like, you just want to be rich. Like, I don't want to be rich. You just want to be rich. You just want to do this for yourself. And I would just think, like, no, like, we can afford the payments. Like, we're not in the hole. Like, I was just deep in denial.
Yeah, and I think for me, like, the dream that Dave Ramsey would sell or was to be debt free, and to have your money work for you instead of you working for the money. And he was just saying, like, be a good steward and this and that. But anyways, we ended up going to this marriage conference, and then they were in that series of the day or whatever. There was a section for finances, and they brought up the Dave Ramsey baby steps and that little course and everything. And I remember like it really spoke to me in the fact that we are not owners, but we're just managers. And when I came across that and everything, it really impacted me, and said like man, it's true. Like, if I really love God, or if I serve God, then everything belongs to Him. I'm just a manager. So that seed was planted in my heart, and I always had it with me, like, man, I need to get out of debt.
But yeah, we will talk to you guys in our next video. Thank you so much for watching.
Come back to hear the rest of the story
on how we got out of debt.
And until next time,
Bye.
Happy slaves no more.